sitting at the 2. Indianapolis needs a first down at the 1. A touchdown to the goal line. Offset eye. Taylor alone back. Fullback into the game is Tyler Warren. Jones under center. They give it to Warren. Looking, probing, and touchdown! Tyler Warren, a rushing touchdown as they give it to the big fella, the first man through in the formation. The fullback in this case, Tyler Warren, scores a touchdown, and the Colts now lead 9-3. Stafford goes out of the shotgun. 3 receivers go to the right side. Back in the throw is Stafford, scanning over the middle into the end zone. Touchdown. Devontae Adams got behind the Colts secondary. And the Rams have the lead for the second time today. It's their first touchdown. And currently it's the Rams 12, Colts 10. Colts so far today, 3 out of 6 on third down. Ball on the right hash. Daniel Jones changes the play at the line of scrimmage. 3 receivers stacked to the right side for the Colts. Shotgun snap for the quarterback. Looks left. Fires down the left sideline. And it is a catch. A.D. Mitchell. There he goes. Inside the 30. Down the far sideline. 10. 5. Touchdown. A.D. Mitchell. His first career touchdown in the NFL. Hold on just a moment. The officials talking to one another at the goal line. The play happened furthest away from us as A.D. Mitchell had a great adjustment on the ball and then streaked down the far sideline. Made it in front of Emmanuel Forbes Jr.
He bobbled the ball at the end, Matt. He switched the ball in his hands right at the goal line. It looks like he may have fumbled it before he crossed the goal line, which would give the Rams the ball on the 20-yard line.
The ball was loose prior to crossing the goal line. It went in and out of the end zone. The result of the play is a touchback. First down Rams.
I mean, that's just like the Jonathan Taylor play last year in Denver.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
I mean, deja vu all over again. Mitchell made a tremendous catch off a great throw by Jones. He spins out of a tackler, and he fumbles it short.
Wow. Rams moving left to right in your mind's eye. Shotgun snap to the quarterback. Plenty of time for Stafford. Throws downfield. He's got a man. Hit play. 2-2 Atwell. Racing the other way. He's going to score. 20, 10, 5. Touchdown. That's an 88-yard pass for a go-ahead score. Final score from SoFi Stadium this afternoon in Los Angeles. It's the LA Rams 27 and the Indianapolis Colts 20.
The Ride with JMV, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, I think I can speak for everybody, including Matt Taylor and Joe Wrights on the Colts Radio Network, is that monumentally sucked yesterday. It did. Now, I will say this. It's not without a lot of bright spots, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people want to cut loose of A.D. Mitchell and think the season is over. I don't happen to believe that. However, what you want to understand from a group is they can learn from errors and move on and not make those. And let's just say, for example, a year ago, the biggest play was that of Jonathan Taylor in Denver in December. And as much as Jonathan Taylor means to this team, and we saw it again yesterday, arguably the MVP, there's little question about that. That still was costly in terms of a postseason. So I guess we kind of all sit back and we believe that after that, you make sure you don't necessarily have to play it like it's the 1970s or 80s and you hand it back to the official. But why not become trendy and just hand the football to the official? Right? And then you can celebrate afterwards. I do believe this. I believe we saw, and it's going to be interesting to see where this thing goes with A.D. Mitchell from here. We saw the absolute best because that was an outstanding catch. I was just thinking for a moment when he went up and made that grab and everybody was falling all over themselves trying to tackle him, and he was moving, tight-roping down the sideline for what appeared to be a touchdown, and Matt Taylor making a tremendous call. By the way, the most depressing part I thought of this weekend was Joe Wrights explaining to everybody. He was so excited about it, then had to explain to everybody how craptacular it had became. But you see the incredible talent, and then you see why there's no consistency and why that with A.D. Mitchell has been a pipe dream. It's not a myth because you actually see it. But until further notice, there's a lack of belief. And really, when you think about A.D. Mitchell, and then you think about the defense and how that game went down yesterday, that is this team until further notice, in a nutshell. Nobody is really going to believe until. And I thought you got a heavy dose of that yesterday. Like, even with the defense, too, I'll get back to A.D. Mitchell. We got so much to hit over the course of the afternoon, so you guys can just load up and be good to go. I can't wait to hear from you. But you look at Lou Anarumo on the defense, and Xavier Howard, I was getting a headache watching this at home going, oh, my God, Puka Nacua again, and there's a Xavier Howard, and you knew how it was going to work or not work in this case, how it wasn't going to work out. And you end up like lobbing words at the TV like you would with Gus Bradley or Matt Eberflus. The same stuff. Hey, can you change this up a little bit? And the thing about Lou Anarumo, when he does different things and he brings pressure, we all get really excited about it. And it's so new and it's refreshing compared to Gus Bradley and compared to Matt Eberflus. But kind of sticking with these dudes that, is there not anybody else? I guess there's not anybody else out there. Is there anybody else? Because we felt that a week ago, and then you feel it again. So is there not anybody else out there? You get to a point to where this guy is not going to be good at this. And we'll get into the 10 men on the field situation and the Tutu Atwell touchdown. And Blackman falls down. Again, defensively, there are aspects that you really like and you really enjoy. But I guess one, I don't know, do I call it nepotism? One is kind of a nepotism. I don't care who you go out and get. Can you get somebody that's better than that? And I know it's difficult. And I know you're dealing with injuries. And it stinks. Hell, the best part of Mike Hilton yesterday, and, that's nepotistic too, but the best part about that is he went relatively unknown playing that role of Kenny Moore. But you just kind of know what you're going to get. I wonder about what you're going to get next week with the Raiders. You got back-to-back home dates that you would hope this team takes care of. And that's all a part of this situation. You're not going to really be able to prove it to everybody until the end. Because that's how everybody is right now. I can explain to you they're 3-1, and nobody thought they were going to be 3-1, really. So you feel good about that. The month of September, when you look at it, the month of September has been really nice. The unfortunate aspect is that you're going off of what took place yesterday. And a game in a large portion in the second half in particular, when they weren't being flagged or weren't turning the football over or making a boneheaded decision on the field, or not having enough dudes out there, or tripping over your own feet, or trying to cover a guy that's elite level in the NFL with a guy that was on the couch about 2 months ago. Less than that. They look pretty good. Hey, in the NFC, the Rams are pretty good. I thought the Rams are doing their part as well to keep the Colts in it. We talk about the 11 penalty flags thrown against the Colts. It seemed like that every time the Rams were trying to match it. And Matthew Stafford with that hookup to Tutu Atwell to end it, that was the difference in the game. But if you watch that game, Matthew Stafford missed a couple of wide open dudes that could have been game changers or game breakers. We all now have to question Daniel Jones. I don't know if it's time to question Daniel Jones or not. I think there are more questions just regarding the whole thought process of, if you're just smarter here and there, you can get by with this. And I think it was especially magnified because a lot of people complained about it, and you complain about what you want to complain about. But the game that you had to witness before you ended up getting to the Colts and the Rams yesterday was that slog fest. It was awful. Admittedly, watching the Titans and the Texans. I must say this. The Titans stink, but so do the Texans. Now, you watch the Jaguars go on and win a game in San Fran. What I'm trying to say is the Colts, within their own division, to win it for the first time since 2014, I'm not trying to, again, say, hey, carry water for anybody and everything's going to be okay, because everything's not going to be okay until the end of the season. That's just what you're dealing with. You are not going to see consistency until you see consistency. I can't tell you when that's going to be, but I can tell you that 3-1 is good, and I'd like to spend 3 hours ripping on A.D. Mitchell, and when you go minus 14 in the fashion in which he did, I think it's really easy to do. But you also see on the other side, like, it is so disappointing because the -7 portion of it on the fumble out of the end zone was such a tremendous individual athletic effort from a dude. So when you're calling for, like I was on Tony Katz this morning, he's saying, well, you know what, you got to get rid of this guy. You got to, I think he said, fine him $500,000. Holy crap, man, what? What they're going to say is we believe in this guy. And it stinks that it did cost you that game. There probably was not more of an individual effort that was as costly to a team in losing a game than what we witnessed yesterday. But it's also tough not to realize, man, if you could just get some consistency and sense into this dude and you get Alec Pierce back out there. I thought Alec Pierce was a huge missing piece, especially with that secondary in mind. You just throw it up and Pierce goes to get it. But I'd love to be able to go for 3 hours, I guess, all in, like everybody else might, or like people want me to do for A.D. Mitchell. But, man, that defense opened the door so many different times, and they also have to change. As much as A.D. Mitchell needs to change for the better, so does this defense, because there are certain aspects that I really like, but others you just kind of scratch your head and you go, what are we doing here? Why? And again, Nakua is so good, he probably will toast anybody, or mostly anybody. But one of the big reasons why you bring Mooney in here, just, hey, go get this dude. Go get him. Now, then you can trip over your own feet and have 10 men on the field and, give up a game changer and a game winner to Tutu Atwell on somebody else's watch. But, yeah, enough of the Howard stuff. So even on this day when it is obvious, and it's obvious that A.D. Mitchell played a significant role as an individual player, maybe more so than we have seen in a long time, and the Colts losing that game, or really any team losing a game. Yeah, I will also tell you that there is a great deal of blame to go around. It's not just going to be 3 hours of ripping on Mitchell for me. You turn it over 3 times, you've been as good as anybody, if not the best, in the NFL. 11 penalties, and just some head-scratching defensive situations that you're in now because of injuries. I would say that I don't know. Does everybody have to come from? Do you have to play for Lou Anarumo to be out there and trusted? Because that ain't working. The Xavier Howard stuff is not working. You also get the benefit of a schedule like Houston has to play a first-place schedule, and they are not going to be up for this task. They stink. They stink. And I know that, what they did, they blanked the Titans. The Titans stink worse, but Houston's not any good. This division is so incredibly winnable. I guess what I'm trying to say here is, can you get right with the thought process and then take advantage of the situation that you're in, again, in an incredibly winnable division for you this year with a schedule to match? And in future terms, not give away stuff like you did yesterday. That's the fact of an NFL season, is basically here and gone in an eye blink. You can't give away games like that. I guess if you were to get your one free space or your free pass or whatever, you hope that that's it. That's a game that I think most people, including me, I did pick the Rams back on Thursday. As you know, most people, including me, thought the Rams would end up winning this. And when you look at, I guess if you look at the football gods, you're 3-1, and you could easily be 2-2. Because in week number 2, the football gods shined upon you with the leverage call or the leverage play in general. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is this team is good enough. This team is good enough. It has leadership at quarterback, even with a quarterback that had a couple of misplays. Like, people want to say, well, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I don't give a damn about your franchise quarterback. I want to see a quarterback that plays well in situations right now. We can sort out the whole franchise aspect of it later. I'm just talking week to week. The part of the week to week is to getting everybody on the same page with what is most important, and that is the decision making. And sometimes that gets lost, and A.D. Mitchell lost it yesterday. I mean, he took away a touchdown catch and run for him. It's weird. It was like an A.D. Mitchell moment. It was all that you had been told. If you follow everybody that writes and covers this team in camp, he can do no wrong. And seriously, go back to camp for a moment. There are moments in which he can do no wrong and he looks great. He's the most athletic guy out here. And then other moments when he's like the worst player on the field. That was him in a nutshell yesterday. Can you not coaching up or teaching up a little bit to be more like what we saw with the catch and the start of the run and not the end? And then I would say further, not to let this linger. I know it's easier said than done, but I thought CBS did one hell of a job of documenting how this play hung over him like a dark cloud. If you remember, we talked to Shavarius Ward back when he was signed here and then back again in camp. And one of the things that always stood out to me is how he has such a short memory. And I brought this up, if you play that position, you have to have a short memory. He says, I trust myself enough to, if there is a bad play, I'm done with it after the bad play. And then I am moving on. And that's what Mitchell has to do. And he's not going to get cut. You want to cut a second-round guy? He's got incredible talent. It just stinks that he cost you that game. Or at least had a significant role in it. But so did the defense, so did the defensive coordinator. It's weird how that game, I thought, in a nutshell, was what you know about this team right now. You are excited about it, but you're apprehensive to believe that it's sustainable. That is this team, and really A.D. Mitchell. in a thumbnail sketch. Is what you witnessed yesterday. Yeah, I could spend 3 hours on it today, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, and I'm sure you'll be upset about it. That's okay. That is just really where we are in sports talk radio. That's why I'm here. But there are a lot of other things, too. A lot of other things I'd like to see them be able to iron out. Again, with Lou Anarumo, there are certain aspects that makes you refreshed and excited, and then others you go, well, wait a minute. So it's like the only way you're going to get on this team and make it is if you played for him before or you have a relationship. Listen, again, I don't care. I don't care where you played and what you do. But I think we have witnessed what Howard is capable of doing. And let's just say it does not look like it's it. So anybody. We'll talk about that at 239-1070. Share that with you. It's just kind of weird yesterday. That game was weird. You felt really good in moments, especially in the second half, and then really bad in the same old in other moments. And we're talking about A.D. Mitchell. We're talking about the offense. You're talking about the defense. You're talking about Lou Anarumo. Like Leatu Latu will give you moments to where everybody's saying, Jared Verse is 1,000 times better. Remember Chris Ballard said we just drafted the best defensive player in the draft, and then you watch Jared Verse run around and do whatever he wants to. But Leatu also gave you moments where you thought, all right, well, this guy is going to work, and then other moments where there's a bit of a disappearing act. That's the stuff that has to be ironed out. I mean, you have to be there the entirety of the time. You can't have moments of disappearance. That is this team in a nutshell, but this team in a nutshell still is 3-1. That part about it is good. I hate to be all is not lost guy because I know everybody is going to describe me as, carrying water or sniffing the rear end. That's just what you witnessed yesterday. And that is a part of the disappointment of a game in which you clearly should have won in what was the biggest gauge of the season to date. All right, 239-1070 is that number. The email address is jmv1075thefan.com. I am looking for, on the text line, 317-239-1070. I know I'm guessing I have a lot there right now. Yeah, the Ryder Cup stuff. Listen, I think the Europeans are easy to root for. Shouldn't be that way, right? But it is. Hey, shout out to IU. That is a game that IU in the past would lose. And I don't care what happened. I don't care what Kirk Ferentz did. I don't care what they decided. I don't care what quarterback was in there. Simply put, that is a game in the past that IU loses. Alas, they did not. Oh, and that beep, beep, beak and that backup sound would be my Cincinnati Reds going to the postseason. At this point, like with the Reds, it's almost like the Colts. I don't care how you get there, just get there. Seriously, I don't care how you get to the postseason. Just chart yourself a path to the postseason. The Reds get to the postseason by an epic fail of the New York Mets and lose on the final regular season day and still get in and still celebrate with skiing goggles on and a champagne bath in the locker room. It doesn't matter to me. Aren't you embarrassed? Hell no, I'm not embarrassed by that because they're going to play tomorrow night and not sit their ass at home. That's exactly what I want to see out of the Colts. I want to see them play deeper into January and not be sitting at home. I want to have another Colts pregame huddle. I want to have another Bud Light Blue Friday. Stephen Holder coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. That's basically it because it is you and I until the end. And a shout out to the Fever for pushing it, much like the Pacers did, to the limit. I will tell you this. That would be my expectation. I didn't expect them to lose 2 straight at home. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, outstanding yesterday. They push it to a decisive game number 5 in Vegas coming up tomorrow night. So we got that and more, too. I was at Pacer Media Day, James, a little bit earlier. How about that? I was present and accounted for.
I just realized I unplugged my headphones.
Pacer Media Day. Man, I like those guys. I think, again, and before you go, well, you know what your judgment is. No, yeah, my judgment last year, remember, I told all you guys to shut up. This Pacer team is legit. I believe in it. Run it back. Let's do it. I believe in these guys, too. Not at that level, but I believe in them. That and more coming up. Stephen Holder on the 5 o'clock hour, 239-1070. The text stream is going right now, 317-239-1070 as well. We are on the road later on this week. James, anything to give away this week?
We do have some tickets. We have Kansas tickets to give away.
So, and a shout-out to Bullseye and Kyle Kinnett. I got a lot of pictures and a lot of references for those that made the trek to Southern California, that attended the Bullseye Rams VIP tailgate yesterday. Well done. See, that's why you listen to this show. We'll give you opportunities that, simply put, others nationwide will not.
We sent a pretty good group out there to LA.
It was a good group out there. I got a lot of feedback from people that were there. Oh, well done. And by the way, you guys that are trying to find my friend Matt, listening to the show, Matt, a gig, again, a shout out to you guys. I love that. Helping one another. This is A.D. Mitchell's time of need. Let's help him get over this hump. He is talented as hell. Holy crap. Help A.D. Mitchell get over this hump. Stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I'd love to have you there. AAA member, become that today. AAA.com to get yourself signed up. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
magazine that my last words were, I'm on drugs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jones down the sideline, one-on-one. Oh, what a catch! Adonai Mitchell down the sideline, turning on the speed, and a little stiff arm ushering into the end zone for a Colts touchdown. But did he lose the ball going out of the end zone before he crossed the goal line?
If he did, it's going to negate one of the better plays you'll have seen this year. That was an outstanding effort by Adonai Mitchell. And the way that he went after the football, I think it may have come out early.
He sticks it out, and it slips out of his hand. Unbelievable.
Oh, Kevin Kugler and Daryl Johnston yesterday on CBS. Or Fox. That was Fox yesterday, wasn't it? My bad. With the ridiculous details of that. Oh, just hold on. Give me some of the greater songs of all time titled Hold On. Santana, Fleetwood Mac, In Vogue. How about Don't Let Go? In Vogue. In Vogue's got all the songs related to yesterday. Isaac Hayes. Foreigner. Anything you can come up with yesterday. Just don't let go. Hold on. Do it. Everybody should have learned a year ago. I'm not going to be 3 hours of A.D. Mitchell anti here because that was an extremely awesome play until the end. But for goodness, hold on. Complete the play for the love of God. Please. Colts, from here on out, please don't put your fan base through this ever again. Seriously, if this happens again, what happens? So if this were to happen again in the next calendar year, it can't. There's no way. He did show some skill. It was not the only reason why they lost. It was by far the most monumental reason why they lost. And really, in terms of an individual, and it's a team game, and we lose it to team and win as a team. Okay, whatever. Put that on your locker room wall. But let's think about this for a moment. When you're minus 14 like that, and including that ridiculous hold on the Jonathan Taylor touchdown run, you as close to single-handedly lose that game as an individual as you can get.
Well, he's minus 14 from yesterday, and in his career, he's minus 21, isn't he? From that pick six in Denver?
He did throw that. Yes, he did. Now, we didn't really blame him for that. We blamed Shane Steichen for the ridiculous call of the year, which it was. And then I will also shout out to Lou Anarumo. And as much as I like, the blitzing and the moving around of the stuff that we haven't seen in the past two defensive coordinators, not everybody has to play for you or know you. Can you just Xavier Howard on Nakua wasn't going to work, and it didn't work, and it wasn't working, and what the hell? Thank you very much. Ryan says Wilson Phillips, another hold on song right there. Ryan, clearly a big fan of Wilson Phillips out there. The biggest in Indy is Ryan. Michael, the electrician, chimes in. So we've beaten the Broncos and lost to the Rams. Barely two teams that are known as contenders. AD has some growing up to do, and he will. He's young. I'm way more worried about Howard, and I'm pretty sure Puka is still catching balls and running wild. It's okay to be optimistic. This team is doing way better than anybody thought. And I will say this. I'm going to stop right there, Michael, the electrician. You can see by now, the first month of the season, there is no reason why this team should not be completely capable of winning their division for the first time since 2014. It's just it. Watching the Titans on the Texans play yesterday made your eyeballs hurt. Both of them. The Titans are awful, but so are the Texans. This is you and the Jaguars. So even with that ridiculous loss yesterday in a game that you easily should have won, you didn't. But you're 3-1. And I think that's what we know, maybe more so than anything else. This division is even more winnable than what you thought it might be. Hold On Loosely is another good one. 38 special. All right, 239-1070. Stop with the AD fumble replays. It still sucks. It does suck bad.
Should I just queue up the
Man,
one from...
He's such a talented dude. Come on, man.
Should I just queue up the one from Jonathan Taylor from last year?
I can't believe that we're talking about a guy that does, like when Jonathan Taylor, that should have put it in, like last year in December, should have put it into all that immediately. Just an end to it. How does it happen again? How does it happen again? Mike in Brooklyn is going to start it at 239-1070. Hello, Mike.
JMV, what's up?
How does that happen again? I mean, Jonathan Taylor, that should have been an incredible announcement of this will never, ever happen again.
Yep. Stole my thunder there. Definitely the appropriate song, 38 Special, Hold On Loosely. They should be playing that in the locker room.
Yes.
But how it happens is, I guess I have a different take on it. It's all kind of coaching. Steichen, every time I think this guy is making strides, that he's progressing as a coach, it just pulls the rug out from under me. To me, Bill Parcells said it, dumb players make dumb plays. They do dumb things. So it's not so surprising that A.D. Mitchell would make that play. You haven't been able to rely on him for his whole career, his short career. The thing that really got me, and this was a first guess, and the same thing with JT last year. He has no business being on the field after that. There has to be consequences. You have to confront him, and then there has to be consequences. Irregardless of the fact that he goes to the sideline and starts throwing a kindergarten tantrum, and then, as it was well documented on TV that we were all watching, this guy's head is mentally Mike, that's the part that stands out to me. Throwing a fit on the sideline is one thing, but hanging the head and dragging around like that's when you sub the guy out. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I understand everything else, but up until that point, that is when you make the choice of going with Ashton Doolin, to me. Yep. And how is nobody up in the coaching boxes? How is Reggie Wayne not going, supposedly his position coach, seeing him on the sideline, or any of his coaches up in the coaching box, looking at this and not calling down to Shane, saying, Shane, we know you're all consumed in your offense right now and you're not paying attention to anything else. Yeah. But A.D. Mitchell should not be on the field. How are the other 10 guys in the huddle supposed to, function? And they know that this guy is mentally checked out with what he's doing. This whole thing of we have to support you. That's why these things keep on happening.
You think that mental checkout led to the completely overzealous hold on the Jonathan Taylor touchdown run too? Do you think that was a product of it?
Yeah, and I think a product of it also was the fact that it's been documented that this kid is not a blocker. Now, Ashton Doolin has also been regarded as a very good blocker, and everybody's saying Alec Pierce, the receivers have been good blockers. So the fact that he's out on the field led to the next thing. You don't let a guy, you confront him, you don't let a guy continue on. This should have been very easy if you're a head coach to address it, to say, okay, once he starts this stuff on the locker room, on the sideline, you say, send him back to the locker room. I'll talk with him tomorrow. You address that, say, I'm going to address it with him tomorrow. Then you call him into your office, and then you do it. Next week, A.D. Mitchell should be inactive, regardless of Alec Pierce's status for next week's game. He has to be inactive. It should already have happened. Take him into your office and say, you have to prove to me that I can trust you going forward.
But what do you prove? What do you prove it to, man? Don't you have to prove it in the game setting? I mean, you can do all this crap in practice, right, Mike? But I mean, don't you have to prove it in don't you have to prove it in a game setting?
I think in practice you can see if a guy is really saying, "Hey, I got to lock in." If a guy is just lackadaisical and he's just joking around about it, and you can see that mentally, well, you know what, it really wasn't a big thing, and now you're persecuting me for something. Everybody makes mistakes, but these mistakes are the ones that cost you. And Shane Steichen reverts back to his usual, it's on me, it starts with me stuff, and I can guarantee you.
But it is. How do you not, just across the board, Mike, learn from last December and how costly that was from not just the team, but one of the league's best players? How do you not? These guys should be running to the end zone and running to the official and handing him the ball and then leaving the field.
Absolutely.
At this point in time,
go back to the Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne. Dave,
I'm not for being stiff ass like that, but if you haven't learned that lesson last December, I will say this: I agree with you on the body language and the head down and all that stuff. I don't agree. If you're going to keep him, which they clearly will, and you still believe in him, which they clearly do, you got to hustle his ass back out there. Because you got to, I think the more, especially with Pierce, and we'll see if he comes back next week, but you've got to see, I think, what you don't have. And in this case, you got to make him prove what you do. And I don't think you do that in these half-ass practices they have leading up to games.
Really, I think that would be. It's kind of like a similar Anthony Richardson situation, and for different reasons. But I will say, Jonathan Taylor, his status as a player last year, I still would have done the same thing. Now, Jonathan Taylor, I have gained a lot of respect for this year for addressing all his shortcomings. Jonathan Taylor's credentials as a runner, what he's doing this year as a runner, that was never in question.
Right.
But to see these guys are young guys. He went out, he addressed it. He's worked on catching the ball, blocking, all that other stuff. That's what makes you a complete back. So you have to respect that. But until A.D. Mitchell goes out there and is, something that's behind the scenes that we're not going to see, really. I mean, you have to evaluate this stuff, including guys like Reggie Wayne, saying, is this guy's head really in it, or is he just, just going through the motions and saying, okay. Do you see him in practice? Is he missing his assignments? Is he showing up late to meetings? We don't know all of this stuff. Is he not paying attention? Is he not locked in like Anthony Richardson was last year? Is that contributing to this stuff that we don't know about? That's the part. And as far as Lou Anarumo goes, everything that you said, we want a guy there. The only thing that's really was a common sense thing that from anybody who's not defensive coordinators is what you're talking about. The Xavier Howard thing is definitely an issue. But why is not Shavarius Ward traveling with Puka?
He should be
who's the number one. And
he
Xavier
was at
Howard,
times. Why did you allow that? There's no test pattern on that. I mean, that's something. And you know what? And thank you, Mike in Brooklyn, as always, man. That was a terrific angle to start the show here. That's something that Ward may have gotten worse because Nakua is one of the best. But it was all that touchdown catch. It was all so easy for him. And again, there were moments in which that defense would look pretty good. And then other moments, not so much. But I think I know that more than I know that A.D. Mitchell's absolutely done. I think I know about the secondary and Howard just can't cover. I think I know that more than anybody suggested to me that A.D. Mitchell should be done. I'm not trying to defend him because clearly he had the biggest hand in them losing that game yesterday. But I thought defensively, decision-making played a significant role, too. We'll get back to that coming up on the other side. Stephen Holder coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Your calls and more, and as I mentioned, concert tickets to give away. Road shows coming up. IU football, Major League Baseball playoffs, fever stuff, and more. Don't go anywhere.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Ball is sitting at the 2. Indianapolis needs a first down at the 1. A touchdown to the goal line. Offset I. Taylor the lone back. Fullback into the game is Tyler Warren. Jones under center. They give it to Warren. Looking, probing, and touchdown! He's in! Tyler Warren, a rushing touchdown as they give it to the big fella, the first man through in the formation. The fullback in this case, Tyler Warren, scores a touchdown, and the Colts now lead 9-3.
Tyler Warren, the rookie, is awesome. By the way, that was just an absolutely lame pass interference call on him. That was not good either and was costly as well. That's Matt Taylor, Joe Wrights on the Colts Radio Network. I will also tell you that I'm okay not to, at times, get too cute, and I'm just saying, Jonathan Taylor's he's there. There he is. Use him. You won't regret it. And I know that he gets used. But sometimes things can get a little bit too cute. JMV, Eddie Money's baby, hold on to me. Quote, if AD doesn't make that catch on the fumble, Jones has 3 interceptions. I will say this, and everybody wants to question Daniel Jones like you're doing right here and his arm strength. I think that's always been in question, but I think he is used to dudes like Alec Pierce. That's why Alec Pierce thrives, because he can go up and get it. I think A.D. Mitchell can go up and get it. Just hold on to it when you run with it. That's all anybody asks. Just hold on to it when you run with it. Should know that by now. Do I have to get to a break, or do I have time to get to a call here?
I'd say let's get to a break.
What? We just came back from a commercial break. I know you don't do that scheduling. Jamie, this is Tony. I think that A.D. Mitchell's drop was unintentional. He was reaching out to score and to celebrate, and the ball slipped out of his hands. That was distinctly different than Jonathan Taylor dropping the ball on purpose prior to crossing the goal line last year. Well, here's the problem with that is it happened last year. It should never happen again. I mean, it shouldn't happen the first time in December of a year ago, but it sure as hell shouldn't happen again. No matter. You know the outcome of it. You know, whether it was to make sure it gets across the line or to celebrate or to show it, you have to complete the play. I know it sounds like old fart that is crusty and it is coached forever, but you have to complete the play. You got to leave no doubt. And that's what happens. And that's what happened with a team and a player yesterday. You were a part of it a year ago. You have to know better. If you want to blame the coaches, blame the coaches. How in the world would you do that? But I also realize A.D. Mitchell has a great level of talent. I do realize that. And I'll get back to what Mike in Brooklyn had to say about that and take your calls coming up on the other side as well. I know everybody wants to cut him. Everybody wants to bench him. I think the only way you truly find out what this dude has and who this dude is beyond what you know right now is if you run his ass back out there. That's it. And I think he's worthy of that. Like, am I a true believer, an absolute believer? No. But I think he's worthy of that, of further investigation? Yes, I do. Quick one, back with you. Stephen Holder, after 5. Don't go anywhere. Your calls, I'm coming at you for the next hour plus. Next.
Center, ball to two. Jonathan Taylor, the lone back. Two tight ends line up to the right side. They play action to Taylor. Jones throws, end zone, touchdown! Michael Pittman Jr. Touchdown! There's a flag on the field. Hang on just a second. Flag around the 2-yard line. Byron Young lined up offsides. No matter. Touchdown for the Colts. Michael Pittman Jr. finds the end zone for the third time this season. And the Colts are back on top 16-13 with 11:34 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts right there. Hour 2, Stephen Holder coming up after 5. BT writes this, your comment of run him out there is the same thing you said about AR. Well, until you find out you have something better. So, Ashton Dulin starts if Alec Pierce is unavailable. And clearly Daniel Jones has proven he should be out there. I don't think this has much to do with Anthony Richardson. I think it has more to do with the fact that Alec Pierce was injured. Now, do I believe that A.D. Mitchell has a lot of game? I do. I'm just saying it wasn't so much for me just the incredible error in judgment that he made, actually twice. It's just how you dragged ass out there after that, which I think also led to the hold, the overzealous hold, and then the minus 14. But now Jonathan Taylor, you set a precedent a year ago, and I know it's drastically different again in players, but I think they're going to give him another shot, which I guess would lead us to ask this question. You think that he needs to be cut? You would cut A.D. Mitchell? You guys would all cut A.D. Mitchell? Here's what I have a problem with that. First of all, I'm not for cutting talent, and he is clearly talented. The other thing is, can these coaches not get the point across on this? So you would have cut Jonathan Taylor last December? See, Nathan says they tried running him back out there, and then he ended up taking another touchdown away, and they did. And that's why I would have brought him out. I'm not suggesting that you don't take him out yesterday and put in Ashton Dulin, but all I'm suggesting is you don't cut him. Do you? You cut him? The reason I would have brought him out yesterday is because of how he looked outside the huddle, chin dragging. That's the thing that I noticed. So you would cut the guy right now? BT, you would cut the guy right now. The same people that said cut Jonathan Taylor last December, you'd have done that too? Again, I know we're talking about different players here, but that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. And the reason why he was out there playing was because there was no Alec Pierce. I like Ashton Dulin, don't get me wrong. Ashton Dulin, as an end result after the fumbled touchdown, would have probably been the better play with the whole body language thing. But as far as cutting somebody, you guys can do that. I don't think that's going to be me. I would also question why that would happen twice inside a calendar year. It's curious. 239-1070. Your curiosity is there. I look at it a little bit differently, I guess, than you do. But I get the outcome is the same. Now, I do certainly understand that you have a player here that probably came as close as individually in a very team-oriented game, costing his team a game than we have seen in a long time. I know you're all going to say, well, what about quarterbacks that throw interceptions and all that? But, I mean, that was the difference. Just like Jonathan Taylor last December was the difference. We'll get your thoughts on that. Lou Anarumo on the defense, the 10 men on the field, that was problematic. Clearly, Xavier Howard is problematic. We see that. I think this was Steve. I wanted to get to this comment, Steve. I apologize. Steve in San Antonio says, so let me get this straight. The rookie edge rusher, JT Tuamalo, can't see the field because Lou Anarumo doesn't know him that well, but Xavier Howard's a starter because he and Lou go way back. Now, this is twofold here. One, you're talking about two different players here in two different positions, but I do get this. To me, it doesn't matter the relationship with the defensive coordinator. You just got to find somebody out there that's better than what you have right now, and I would suggest, how hard is that, given what we have seen? And I would agree with you, Steve, on that. How hard is that? It shouldn't be that hard. JMV, when has Mitchell been talented? Definitely not during the games. He's under contract to play. I would suggest that going up and making that catch and run is pretty talented. No way you cut him, partly because Jacksonville or Tennessee would take him in a heartbeat. I think the kid can play. Maybe he wakes him up. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. Because I think you could also argue as easily, Litz, that how are you not already understanding what took place in Denver last year, how to handle your situation when you get down near the goal line? But I will tell you this, I'm not cutting the dude. Not right now. Not because of that. It sucks, but I'm not cutting him because of that. That is just me. JMV, you're right. You have to put him back out to see if AD bounces back from adversity and make a bad play. Yesterday, I think most of the argument from people right now is just coming from how he looked. And you saw things going haywire. He could not be consoled by teammates on the bench, and then he kind of brought that attitude to the field of play. That's the stuff that can't happen, to me. And you can argue yourself whether or not that led to that overzealous hold, which I think is what Nathan's arguing right here. But it sucks, but I'm not cutting him. A lot of things sucked yesterday. I will view this. I think what you have seen from Howard is more egregious in terms of making a change than even A.D. Mitchell. And I know part of it is because you're talking about a second rounder. You know, just as Mitchell was out there because, for the most part, because Pierce was inactive, you know, Howard is out there because they have so many injuries. But I would hang with Mitchell where a lot of you would cut him. I'd be done with Howard. 239-1070. Now, your calls coming up. Stephen Holder after 5. Windschuler's spreadability. Locations throughout central Indiana of Meyer, of Gordon's Food Service, making sure that the spreadability is good to go on your table no matter what you're doing, even if it's simple snacking. Original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar and jalapeno pepper. The spreadability of Windschuler's back for the football season of 2025. Find it in your favorite grocer's refrigerator. Yeah, do that today. 239-1070 is the number. Joshua's going to lead in the 4 o'clock hour. Hello, Joshua. How are you?
I'm good. I was so disappointed in the Colts yesterday, but they tried.
They did.
Yeah. And I like Indianapolis Jones. He's a good quarterback.
He is. He has been. He's been better. He was not very good yesterday. He was subpar yesterday. We'll see where that goes, Joshua, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope the Colts do good this season.
I hope you're right, too. It'd be something if they went to the postseason, wouldn't it, buddy?
Yeah.
Joshua, it's good to hear from you, pal.
Thank you.
You hang in there. Words to live by from Joshua. Tony's next. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hey, JMV.
Hello, Tony.
Well, like everybody else, I'm very disappointed in yesterday, the way it turned out.
No doubt.
But you've stolen half of what I was going to say, I guess, with A.D. Mitchell. I mean, let's realize he is in year 2. By all accounts, from everybody that is near the Colts, he has made tremendous strides in practices and camps and everything. It was a total screw-up yesterday. And, you know, I guess in watching towards the end of the game when Taylor had that breakaway and then I saw that flag come in, I said out loud, oh, please don't be against Mitchell. Because
you knew that was coming. You knew that was coming, though, didn't you?
You just knew it was coming. I mean, he was dragging. You could see Zaire Franklin on the sidelines, going to him and telling him, "Hey, we got you.
Yeah,
we got your back."
And it wasn't even so much that, and people kind of pointed to always throwing Tony a fit on the sideline, and that wasn't even so much me. It was just kind of dragging ass on the field.
Yeah,
it looked like that he had been mentally, because of that, checked out, and that's when you go to dueling. Like people were saying, well, you got to set him and make him inactive. Now, I don't know if you do that. I don't do that. Maybe you do, but no. I don't do that. But I certainly would have subbed him out in those situations after, because he didn't look like that he was ready to be out there. And CBS, I thought CBS did a hell of a job of documenting that too.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of the coach. I saw several players. I don't know if any of the coaches went over and really, talked to him. But, I mean, that is the kind of thing. I mean, these guys, they are still kids. I mean, I've got grandkids older than these guys. And, something like that, a play like that can be totally devastating to their psyche, to their morale. And I think that's where the coaches, like you say, need to step up. And if their head's not in the game, you don't put them right back out there. But I think next week he needs playing time. I think he needs to be out there because he has a tremendous talent. I mean, we wouldn't be having any of this conversation if he hadn't caught the ball.
Yeah, and Tony, thank you for the call. He did catch the ball and make a move. Now, Anthony writes this: they didn't hold JT accountable last season. That's why it happened again. Let's send AR to pick to Arizona for Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, ain't nobody doing that, especially Arizona. So we'll bring it back to the real world here for a moment. And the reason why they didn't do it to Taylor is because he's Jonathan Taylor. And A.D. Mitchell does not hold that similar standard. However, that is also because you made that decision last year. You could equate it to the reason why it happened again, but it's also the reason why that they're going to, quote, show faith in Mitchell. The guy may end up being just a dude with tremendous talent that makes boneheaded decisions. But I'm not cutting him today or tomorrow. He may very well make another one coming up this weekend. I just don't think you're in a situation where you can or really you should. So what's the tack taken here? Are you doing it? Why? Are you doing it to show everybody else that there is accountability and there are consequences? That's what you're doing? Because I'm going to tell you this, if everybody doesn't know it by now, then you're never going to know it. I blame the coaching staff. I'll blame the coaching staff before I blame the dude that dropped in the draft, because there were questions surrounding situations, not so much like that, but just in general. Whether or not he was going to be able to make those decisions, whether or not it was all just here in flashes about a high level of talent. I just think if you're doing it to make a point right now, holy hell, how's the point not made? And how is that not on you for the point not being made last December? Why is this even a discussion? I mean, are there just dudes out there that you can't control with that in mind? Are there any ways you want to compare the two? Can you compare? I'm not talking about the overall games because, hell, we know who's going to win that. But you compare the two non-scores in what took place in Taylor and in Mitchell. Are there comparisons to be made? I mean, both really were a form of showboating. I just don't know. To me, you don't do it in the form of consequences to show everybody you're not fooling around anymore. Because if that's not known by this point, it's never going to be with this coaching staff. That's where I'd blame. And again, fully noting that maybe you're talking about a guy that has a tremendous level of talent, just simply put, will never get it. I would also argue this, that if he doesn't get it after this, then you guys are going to be right and I'll be wrong. Then he's never going to get it. I don't have this deeply rooted belief in this high level of greatness that he has. But I just don't know that if you would make that major move, especially just to show that you're not putting up with this because this is... That should be known by now. JMV, I thought Mitchell lost the ball. Taylor dropped it. JMV, man, these fans are being overly emotional. Why would you cut him right now? Yeah, I'm not cutting him right now. It is me. JMV, it was Fox, not CBS. I think I made that point a little bit earlier. That was Fox, not CBS. So switch it. JMV, can we talk more about the Fever versus AD Met? Probably not. I'll bring it up, though. It's worthy, and we'll bring it up more tomorrow, but I think we all know where people want to go with conversation right now. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but damn. All right, 239-1070. I think I understand that after 25 years. Pat is up next. Pat, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
How you doing, John?
I'm great, Pat. Thanks for asking.
Oh, good. I think we've talked a lot about talent today. We've talked a lot about leadership today. And kind of my question for discussion is the leadership going to have the wherewithal to make whatever changes may be necessary? I mean, we've had.
Well, I guess we have to know what changes. What changes do you believe to be necessary right now?
Well, let's put it this way. I got to start with the GM. Okay, I don't think he's a very good evaluator of talent. I still have belief in Shane Steichen, and I know if you change to the GM, they usually want to bring in their own coach. But at the same time, I don't think Shane's or Ballard's getting it done.
All right. Well, and Pat, thank you for the call. As much as Ballard had not gotten it done to this point, this is not, to me, a Ballard conversation. That's for a different day. This is a Mitchell conversation. This is what has taken place in the past. And this is also a conversation, I think, about what these guys are learning, understanding, and putting to good use in growing for the future. Meaning that your best player on the team did something similar to this less than a year ago, and then something just like that happened yesterday, both of which cost this team games. And certainly the one in Denver last year ultimately cost them a playoff opportunity. And this may also cost them that. But if you want to make an argument, listen, Shane Steichen was incredibly lucky that there was a leverage call going back to week number 2, or we would be talking about his gig. I know it's week to week. We'll get more of your thoughts in on A.D. Mitchell coming up here. It doesn't have to be all about that either. I didn't really mean for it to be all about that, but people have responded to, why wouldn't you cut him? You know what you have. Frankly, I don't know if you do. It'd be bad if that's what it is. Don't get me wrong. It would suck if that's what it is, but I don't completely know if you do. And I would also point the finger more of if this guy didn't learn from experience of the best player on the team a year ago, who's telling these guys that? Who's explaining it thoroughly? And do you cut him to make a point? When clearly by now, if the point hasn't been made, you have a serious issue. That and more coming up. Hey, the Fever are in the decisive Game 5 coming up tomorrow night. And my Reds, our Reds, backed right in to the postseason. Shout out to Terry Francona and the Redlegs for backing right into the post. I don't care how you get there. Just get there. Your call, Stephen Holder, coming up after 5. We're not going anywhere. Hang tight. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
JMV. He looks like Rascal Flatts guy.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
3 receivers, 2 near side, 1 to the far. That's Surratt. Here's the snap. Here's the throw. Catch is made. And a break! Down the middle of the field goes Surratt. Touchdown! And Indiana scores a 49-yard pass play and a break by Elijah Surratt that broke a tackle, and he takes it into the end zone.
Hey, it's Don Fisher, voice of the Hoosiers, and IU now in the top 10. That is a game, simply put, regardless of the circumstances. See, whether we're talking about a backup quarterback or Kirk Ferentz not making great play calls, blah, 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 whatever. That is a game, historically speaking, IU in football, they lose. So you get the hell out of there. Then you take a bye week and you prep to see what the hell you can do in Eugene, Oregon. That's it. Seriously, that is simply put it. No need to really break it down much more than that. I know everybody's mad about the play calling about IU. People were mad, thought Iowa really stunk. Like all that could be true, but 20-15 is the final, and historically speaking for IU football, especially the longtime fans know this to be true. That is a game that they would lose. Alas, they did not. So a shout out to IU fans on that. Little bye week, and you get ready for Oregon. And their head coach is fired up after that. I would be too. Beating Penn State and Happy Valley. It's like, did you see that? Get that video. See what happens in Eugene in a couple of weeks. Jeremiah writes this. So JT's era last year is different from AD's cumulative issues. However, I guess what is the cumulative issue? I think was just like A equals B in this. I would say this. The issue was, to me, you see how he was acting, and then you don't put him back out there. And then maybe you sidestep a blocking situation and a hold. But, yeah, other than that, I'm not cutting the dude. Yeah, I know that he's not this great wide receiver, but hell. You're cutting him why? Because of that? Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, clearly you can describe him as coming as close, individually speaking, as anybody can to losing a game in that team of a sport. But, and I may end up paying for it down the road. Maybe maybe it just doesn't matter other than yesterday, too. Now, had the hold not taken place, would you have everybody eased up on it? I'm just kind of curious about it. Brian writes this, people are crazy. That move he made, you all want to cut him. It's not common for wide receivers. It'd be great if he were able to put something together. Please, for the love of all that is holy. Can you find this sound? Did Miles Turner really say this? I spent like 7 or 8 years, and I'm going to have to backpedal on 7 or 8 years. Hell, I might as well go bald again. Quote, I'm in a city now that wants to celebrate me. That's a great quote that says, go where you're celebrated. I feel that's here. Now, I will say, a lot of people climbed all over him endlessly here. Gritty says he's really digging himself a hole with Pacer fans. That's Miles Turner, now a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. This comes from NBA Central. Did he actually say that? I'm always a little bit skeptical about reading any quotes coming from that particular handle. Pacer Media Day was earlier today. I was actually there. Nothing really groundbreaking. That's the first time I have seen that quote. I'm in a city now that wants to celebrate me. Well, give him a minute. Give him a minute. I spent 8 years, and he's going to bounce back here on November the 3rd. It's going to get all ugly. JMV, hey, the kid blanked up. Not one of us feels worse than him. How about we focus on the great run after the catch? Yeah, it's tough when you lose the game like that. Hey, listen, I understand why people are looking to make an example of him. But my point is, can you also factor in the whole coaching aspect where it happened with the star player in December? And if the example by now hasn't been made, when the hell is it ever going to be made? I just don't think that there's that legitimate of a reason to jack with it. Either way, that's just me. A lot of you feel differently. Are you listening to audio there?
I'm trying to find the audio. I have not seen anybody post a video of it.
Celebrate it.
But I have seen several different accounts say the exact same thing.
Does it look bad that I supported the guy for 7 or 8 years? I don't feel bad about it. To hell with people that say that I should feel bad, but should I?
I don't think so. I mean, you can only operate with what you know in the moment, and back then...
I thought he was certainly more valuable at the end of the year. Against OKC, not so much, but I think he was always more valuable, and certainly... the human basketball NBA version of the pinata around here.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that he would go out of town and burn as many bridges as he's burning on the way out.
Well, that doesn't even bug, because he took a lot of junk here, and especially from the fans. The thing that bugs me the most is when he talked about his going to a place that values winning. I thought he threw his teammates under the bus leaving town more than anything else, and that part pisses me off. The whole fan thing, I mean, you could tell along the way that the fans were always all over him. He was active in social media, and he soaked up every bit of what anybody said negatively about him. But throwing your teammates under the bus is completely different for me. And I thought that with some of those comments on the way out of town, he did just that. 239-1070. Adam is next. Adam, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you on board.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Great, Adam.
So I just figured the AD thing. I mean, I seen he's a young kid. Yeah, it's a game. The game is on the line because we're doing good this year. Maybe he's just a competitive natured kid. I mean, me, myself, I'm very competitive because you already know what I do. But, like, I want to take it back to the day of, she kind of reminds you of the old Tom Brady. When things didn't go for Tom Brady on the sidelines, he took his ass over there and pouted like a little child, which there's no excuse for Tom Brady. He's an older person. But A.D. Mitchell, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he'll come back the next couple games and chill out like he should. Although this weekend was pretty good. My old high school won. Notre Dame won. I also had a race on Saturday. And I was hoping the Colts were going to pull it. It looked good. The Colts were on the move. It was going to pull out to be a win. But, you know, everybody has mistakes. We're all human.
No, I thought, listen, and thank you for the call, Adam. I appreciate that. There are moments, the Colts, especially in moments of the second half, they look better than the Rams. But they did also, when he, being A.D. Mitchell, unravel in some moments, and their defense and their coaching ability also unraveled in moments. Calvin Fitch, I think this is what may be necessary. Are you ready? You need to start supporting A.D. Mitchell like you did Miles. You know, and that was not the path that I had planned on taking today, but it just kind of evolved. So what do you think? I'll support A.D. Mitchell like I did Miles. Is it that type of situation right here? What do you think? And now everybody thinks I look like a horse's ass for supporting Miles.
The thing with Miles, though, I mean, it's like you said, he was the kind of proverbial pinata around here for so long. And
fans acted like jackasses toward him. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. With AD, I mean, AD hasn't really done anything positive for the Colts at this point in time.
So there's no redeeming quality for me to put myself on the line in that capacity just yet? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, it may be a little early to stick your neck out for him, just like you did with Miles.
That may even give me more motivation to do it right there. I'm right. Calvin,
dig your heels in, man.
Calvin, this is a tremendous idea. AD, I'm here for you. The lone support you're going to find in this market's going to come from this afternoon show from here on out.
Are you going to come in here later this week wearing an AD Mitchell jersey?
Yeah, I don't wear jerseys, but yeah. Indiana State, I guess. I would wear an Indiana State jersey, but I did go to school there.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, quick break and we'll come back. Calvin, that's a tremendous idea.
You don't wear Pacer jerseys?
I don't think I do.
Really?
I have them, but I don't wear them.
Oh, I could have sworn I'd seen you in one once.
I don't think so. Somebody made me a Warriors jersey. Have you seen that? I may wear that tomorrow. That's a badass thing.
You should.
The Warriors. It looks like I'm a member of the Warriors in 1979.
Oh, it's like an old school Warriors jersey.
Somebody, I forget, was a friend of Brent Holverson that made it for me. And I've worn it a couple of times, and it's badass.
You should wear it.
I may wear that tomorrow. It's sleeveless, so my guns will be showing in here.
Got the gun show rocking in here.
All right, quick break. We'll come back. We'll see. Do I need to support A.D. Mitchell as I did Miles Turner so you guys can all laugh at me when I look like a similar horse's ass? We're all excited about that. 239-1070, 317-239-1070 on the text line as well. Stream the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge. Become a AAA member today at AAA.com. Stephen Holder, after 5, your calls next.
JMV.
We have the holy hand grenade.
Yes, of course. The holy hand grenade of Antioch.
Right.
1, 2, 5.
3, sir.
3.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Daniel Jones goes out of the gun. The Colts are on the move right to left. Shotgun snap for the quarterback. He looks left. Over the middle. Airs it out for Tyler Warren. He's got a first down and more. Flag at the end of the catch. Warren, for the time being, is going to be wrapped up at the 37-yard line for 17 yards. Cam Curl came up and made the tackle from his safety spot.
Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts. Colts a loser yesterday, first of the season. 3-1 in the month of September. I think most of you will take that, but a bummer nonetheless yesterday. Next up, the Raiders coming up on Sunday. BT writes this. So, this is my team. The Reds are the first team in MLB history to have, are you ready? No qualifying batter hitting 270. No batter hitting 25 homers. No pitcher winning 15 games, although I think look up Nick Martinez. He may have lost 15. No pitcher winning 15 games. No pitcher notching 200 strikeouts. In a non-shortened season, and yet they still make the play. That's my team, everybody. That's my Cincinnati Reds. It almost sounds like 1990 and the film Major League. I feel like Lou Brown's saying, it's all starting to come together now, Pepper. What's Martinez's record this season?
It says it is, according to ESPN, what I'm looking at, it just says 4-8.
Oh, 4-8?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than that. I love it. That's my kind of team. So evidently, I'm going to now start supporting A.D. Mitchell as I did Miles Turner.
Should put him on your fantasy team.
It probably wouldn't hurt right now. You've seen my fantasy team. By the way, I'm 2-2 now. I'm winning this weekend. I have no idea why, because it is awful. Everybody's injured. Nobody's producing.
Do you still have all 4 quarterbacks on your roster?
Well, they're all injured, I think. I do have Drake May, who was outstanding yesterday. So I think one of the products of me getting a little too hammered and passing out and drafting 4 quarterbacks was the fact that normally I would not draft him, and I did. And I had to put him in the lineup, and he played quite well over the weekend. 239-1070. My unwavering support of A.D. Mitchell apparently is now ongoing. Thank you. Famous last words for me. Calvin Fitch has now set me down a path. It's going to be brutal for me. I can just tell. Dave's next. Hello, Dave.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Hey, I wanted to talk about the Colts, but real quick on Turner.
Yeah.
I thought Turner's game improved about 50 to 75% when Halliburton came.
There's no
and
question.
Milwaukee has nobody like him.
No question. No question. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
anyway,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree with you. We can't trade him because wide receivers are not going to be flocking here to play for Daniel Jones. No knock against him, but they just aren't, in my opinion. So that's where I agree with you. The second thing where I disagree with you is about the GM, because this is exactly what happened with Mr. Richardson. I think Ballard gets caught up in liking shiny things, and he sees some of these shiny things, and they haven't panned out. And it leads me to the third thing, which is that the culture of the Colts is terrible. And the lady with no eyes on the sidelines, Ms. Ursay, is going to see that, because to me, the defensive lapse of 10 guys on the field when they score an 80-yard touchdown is more egregious, even though Mr. Mitchell might have caused us to lose more because of those 2 plays. But it's more egregious, and this is what I didn't understand. Did you watch the movie? Did you watch the Netflix thing on quarterbacks last year?
I did not. And I watched Andy Griffith, though, from 1965. Is that close?
Well, it's right there to F Troop, and Roland Martin's laughing.
Thank you.
But anyway, they had Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow was throwing 400 yards a game, but Cincinnati was losing all these games because their defensive coordinator was terrible.
Right.
and that's who we got. So I think it is a culture, because all you got to look at is our beloved Pacers, who develop guys, versus the Colts, who draft guys, and then they continue to flounder. A lot of them.
They've been putting this together. They have been honestly putting this thing together on the fly for a while now. It's just the fact, it's almost like you keep throwing your line in that pond and you finally get a bit of a nibble. That's where we are right now with this team at 3-1. And I think everybody's okay, considering what we have seen in recent history, okay with that as of right now.
Well, they shouldn't be, because the teams we played against are not that good. And the Denver game, was bigger than the Hail Mary play.
Well, I will say this: if the rest of their schedule isn't that, I do have to run. You call anytime, though. I appreciate your call. The rest of their schedule is not that great, and their division is awful. If you can handle your business against Jacksonville, if you watched at all Tennessee and Houston, they're terrible. There is zero reason why this group, if you don't all of a sudden go bonehead, either individually or defensively, collectively, or coaching-wise, and if you can get more than maybe 5 guys out there defensively at times, that would be great. Because there is zero reason why this group should not win this division. And I picked them 8-9. I'm going to have to eat a big old burger if they win the division. That's just where it is after a month of play. JMV, the M in JMV now stands for Mitchell. Thank you. JMV, is that red statistical list more incredible or more pathetic? How does not a player launching pad, like where they play in Cincy, have 25-plus home runs? A.D. Mitchell needs to earn your support, and he has not. Sometimes I got to offer it up. Win Schuler's Spreadability, I offer to you in your favorite grocer's refrigerator. The spreadability of Win Schuler's original bacon and cheddar, sharp cheddar, jalapeno pepper. The spreadability of Win Schuler's. Your favorite Meijer location. Locate that and tell me more today. Stephen Holder's with us next.
JMV.
Well, we're waiting.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
32 seconds to go in the quarter until we break for halftime. Colts lead 10-6 on the Ruoff Mortgage scoreboard, and now it's 1st and 10 after the Rams called their second timeout. So they've got one timeout left. The Colts have two. 32 seconds to go in the first half. Stafford out of the gun has a running back to his right. That's Kyron Williams. Ball is shading the right hash. Back in to throw. Stafford looks left, scanning in the pocket, and he is driven down. A sack for the Colts. Their first one today, and it's Laiatu Latu.
That is Matt Taylor and Joe Wrights. Colts Radio Network from yesterday, unfortunately, with a lot going on, certainly with A.D. Mitchell, as we've discussed today, and defensively, which we've also discussed, the Colts lose their first game of the season. 3-1 in the first month is their record. 27-20 is the final, and the Colts should have been right there to have a much better decision in what that was. But given where it is right now, 3-1, Raiders and Cardinals back-to-back coming up here. We'll talk about that and more right now on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline with Stephen Holder of ESPN on ESPN.com. Is A.D. Mitchell's back-to-back gaffes, not back-to-back, but certainly in that game, two major gaffes significant enough to have him cut? James, it doesn't sound like he's there. That was a hell of a lead question right there, though.
I'm here. I was muted.
There you go. Sorry about that. Did you mute yourself?
No, that was me. I was muted.
You're supposed to blame, like I do, blame the producer. Say, hey, James, man, bring me up. But go ahead.
So I don't think he's getting cut. I don't think that's been discussed. No indication of that. However, I am starting to believe that he's getting benched, or you certainly won't see him as much. Just, as a matter of fact, just a little bit ago, I spoke to Shane Steichen for the usual Monday update, and that was obviously a big point of emphasis in the conversation was, what do you do with this kid? And two things. Number one, however they try to make it sound like, everybody makes mistakes, it was a big deal, and they know it's a big deal because Mitchell opened their team meeting today when they reconvened by apologizing to the entire team and taking accountability for what happened. So, I think that speaks to the level of screw-up we are talking about here.
Yeah.
That's not something you hear all the time. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, in talking about it, Shane said that he had a one-on-one conversation or meeting with Mitchell today, and he said the one thing he made clear to him is that he is going to have to earn it moving forward. And he said that repeatedly. I'm reading between the lines here, but the way he delivered that and the way he said it and emphasized it, I wondered if that meant you're going to have to sit down for a little bit until we figure out what to do with you. Frankly, I said that last year. When he was down the stretch, really kind of starting to come apart and was making a lot of mistakes. This was probably amid the Denver game where he had the big mistake there, and then there were lots of other plays where he ran incorrect routes or maybe contributed to a turnover, like an interception or some such. I was saying it then, like, you just got to sit this kid down until he figures it out. And I thought he was turning a corner. I think I told that to you on this show last week. I thought he was turning a corner. I thought we were seeing what we were promised, or beginning to see more of it, at least, with A.D. Mitchell. And whatever progress he may have made, it's all gone now. He has erased all of it, all of the goodwill, all of the sentiment. It's all gone, I think, after yesterday.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Now, will a lot of this not, I'm assuming you're kind of alluding to the fact you think that he may not be active, a healthy deactivation coming up Sunday. We'll get to that in a second, but will a lot of this be taken care of anyway if you get a healthy Alec Pierce back this week?
Sure. For sure. That's why he was out there so much yesterday. I think that was his season high, him being Mitchell, That was, I think, easily his season high in the number of snaps that he played, and it's because it was necessary. So, I mean, Shane was asked, well, after he made that big screw up, did you think about putting him on the bench even at that point? And what Steichen said is that, no, we couldn't because we needed him. We were down a very important player, and we needed him. So he played out the rest of the game. I think he might have even had another catch later on. So they felt like there wasn't really the opportunity to do that in that game. But, I mean, if Alec Pierce is okay, I have no idea, but he's supposed to have been making progress with the concussion late last week. So if that's the case, then you would think he's got a good shot to come back this coming Sunday. It would take care of it. There's no question. But they were looking for ways to get A.D. Mitchell involved because he is talented, even with Pierce out there. They have been looking for ways, and I think you can go back to the first few games and see. I mean, he played, and he was getting, I think, increasingly getting more opportunities. So that was a choice, okay? That was a choice the Colts made because they didn't have to play him. They have 3 solid guys and Tyler Warren. So they were actively trying to get him involved, and he has failed them now. And I got to anticipate those efforts will come to an end for the most part.
So you think that he's going to be inactive Sunday?
I don't know. I just think you have to pull back. You have to pull back, and I think Shane was saying it in not so many words when he says you're going to have to earn it. I think that means at least in the short term, like you're going to have to go think about this. You know, when you put your kids in timeout, like he needs to be in timeout. I mean, at minimum. And listen, the thing we're not talking enough about is probably that holding call, and I know he got killed for that too. Yeah. But I want to emphasize something here, and this is important. On that holding call, and I have a clip of it on my Twitter, so feel free if you follow me to go look at the video, the all 22 video. Here's why it's important. The technique he uses on that block is so unbelievably poor and so ridiculous. It is not taught on any level of football. I don't know who taught him to block like that. And it's just
he looked pissed. He looked pissed. I mean, and to me, I mentioned this, Stephen, a little bit earlier. And obviously, the play that cost you 7, then the play that cost you 14. But prior to the hold, he looked like a guy that you could tell. CBS kept the camera on him, kept showing him and going back to it. He looked like a guy that should not have been on the field.
Well, he talked about losing focus when he dropped the ball crossing the goal line. Well, if you thought he lacked focus then, he really lacked focus after that, right? He's slamming his helmet. And look, some guys can make a mistake and be pissed and have a moment like that and pull themselves together and go back out there, and it maybe drives them to go finish strong. And look, I'm not a therapist or anything. I don't know. I've not psychoanalyzed A.D. Mitchell, nor does anybody want me to do that, but I might need some of that sometimes. But anyhow, but you do have to wonder, just like from a maturity perspective, like, was he able to handle that moment, and go play in a really tight game against a really good opponent where there was no margin for error? And so I don't know. I mean, I think it's a fair question, and based on the way he finished the game, I think it's justified in being asked.
That moment where he dropped the football, that's his career in a nutshell, really, because you saw both sides of it. You saw both. I mean, really both the good and the bad of what everybody believes he represents in level of talent on this football team.
Look, think about it. We have talked about Anthony Richardson ad nauseum, right, over the past year, and his ups and downs and all that, right? I would argue, and I'm not comparing their roles because the starting quarterback is a completely different deal than the number 3 or 4 wide receiver. They're not the same. They're not even on the same planet, right? But just think about it in terms of how we view the two players. Anthony Richardson has had infinitely more contributions to this team winning games than A.D. Mitchell ever has. He's never helped them win a game.
No.
Okay? I mean, he certainly has made a few plays. I don't want to overlook that. But in the grand scheme, I said this yesterday watching it live. It dawned on me. His net contribution to the Indianapolis Colts is a huge negative over the course of his year and 4 games at this point. He is in the red so far that I don't even know how he gets out of it. It would take him forever. That's how many negative plays he has had. You know what I'm saying? So even if you're the biggest Anthony Richardson hater, right, you can still say, all right, he put together some game-winning drives, he made this play, that play, and that guy got benched, and they would have got a guy and paid him $14 million to replace him. So, and he had some contribution. This guy has done nothing in the grand scheme. So I cannot justify putting him out there. You absolutely cannot. And if you do it and he fails you again, then you're the idiot.
Well, I would suggest this. How do you have the best player on the team do that less than a year ago in Denver, which ultimately cost you a playoff spot, clearly,
sure,
and then have that happen again in basically, less than 5, 6 or so games? Different season, but certainly who's not getting the message? I mean, is it just him? Is it just that's who you're dealing with right there? Or how's that message not? Because people have said you got to make it a point in cutting him, and I'm thinking, how do you not recognize what you have? By now, everybody should score a touchdown and run the ball over to the official and run off the field. By now, you would think.
It should be muscle memory by now. There's no question about it. I would say this. I have been around this game for 2 decades, the NFL, and I can think of 2 or 3 instances where I've seen this happen. And I have now seen it happen twice in the span of 8 games. That is incredible. And the first time, I'm not excusing what Jonathan Taylor did. And Jonathan Taylor has never tried to make an excuse for it, right? But I am saying that the first time it happened, it was such a big deal, and he was so widely ridiculed for it. I mean, he was mocked for that on national TV. And I ain't going to defend it either. That's on you, man. But after seeing all of that, you're telling me it had no impression on you? I think that tells us a lot about A.D. Mitchell, man. I hate this. I feel like we're beating up on this kid, but this ain't college football, buddy. It's just not. Sorry. And he's going to have to wear this, and he will wear it for a very long time. And this is going to be, just as that tap out was defining for Anthony Richardson, this is going to define A.D. Mitchell. I'm telling you. Until he makes a hell of a lot of plays to overrule what he has done or overshadow what he has done, this is going to define him. And that's just going to be that's just going to be what he has to deal with from now on.
I think that means that a certain afternoon sports talk show host needs to swoop in like he did in support of Miles Turner and support A.D. Mitchell. I think that's going to be me. No, listen, I completely understand. It really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like it is. The deal happened yesterday, and that led directly. I think unlike an individual can in such a team-oriented sport that certainly is a non-quarterback, that can lead a team to a loss, that's exactly what he did. I mean, when you go minus 14 like that, and you can't have the finger pointed at you, that's certainly where you are with this. Are you surprised that they haven't made some sort of I guess in this case, decision to say, well, all right, this is how this can't be here? If they are as serious about it as you suggest, are you surprised they just don't wash their hands of the situation right now? Or is it a numbers game? Is it still thinking about the talent, a second-round pick? Where are we with that in mind?
Well, second-round pick for sure, right, which I understand. And I think the reality is he is very talented. A.D. Mitchell is easily the most talented wide receiver on this team. And yet, here we are having this conversation. he is just, an enigma. Okay. He's one of the biggest enigmas I have ever seen in all my years. I don't know what to make of this guy. One guy who I know that Chris Ballard was really frustrated with when he got here was TJ Green. You remember TJ Green, the safety? We all remember. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of parallels, in fact, right? They were both drafted pretty early, off the charts athletically. I mean, just superhuman athletically. TJ Green just didn't know how to play football. Okay? He just didn't know. He just did not understand how to play football. And A.D. Mitchell, he just so often, even if you watch him play, doesn't he look at times like sort of out of control? He never looks like he's under control. He's like a wild Mustang out there, right? Let's watch him running around. His form, everything. It's like it's crazy.
We
right?
are definitely having a conversation about A.D. Mitchell that we would have been having after a week 2 loss in that fashion of Shane Steichen. Are we not? Because we'd had a conversation just like that had they lost that game against Denver. And I guess the other conversation we should have, so where's the finger pointing going on with why on a play where Tutu Atwell ran all the way to El Segundo for a touchdown in the game winner, there were only 10 dudes on the field?
So that ultimately is a coaching failure, period. End of story. Now, certainly whatever 11th player was supposed to be out there, I'm pretty sure it was a defensive back. I'm not going to speculate on which one, but just based on coverage they were playing, they were missing a defensive back from what I could see. And so, anyhow, or maybe a linebacker, but I think it was a dime package. So anyhow, that's a coaching failure. I asked Shane just now, what is the flow of information, the flow of communication? How does that work? I mean, the way this goes is the defensive coordinator says, okay, we're running X on this play, whatever coverage they're running. And within that, the players who are in that particular package know they got to get out there. And that is also communicated by their position coaches as well. So it trickles down, coordinator, position coaches, players, but you should all be right there next to your position coach, getting the information relayed to you, because the coaches are wearing headsets and all talking to each other, and boom. I mean, this happens on every single play of every single NFL game every week, right? This is pretty routine, basic stuff, and somehow they screwed it up. And I'm not saying they're the first team to ever have, 10 men on the field, but I think in that situation it's really glaring. The first play of the possession, right out of a timeout, there's really no excuse for it. So I don't know who ultimately takes the fall there, but it's ultimately on the coaches. I mean, you got timeouts. Call a timeout. You got coaches in the box. You got coaches on the sideline.
Analytics nerds. You got analytics nerds everywhere, don't you? Counting with their little bean counters. Blip, blip, blip. Yeah. So yeah,
they got coaches coming out of their ears, man. I mean, there's just no excuse. I mean. Come on.
Who do they need?
These plays in practice every day.
Who would they need to make an example of more at this point? A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Howard?
Well, I mean, you think back to last year after that Jacksonville game. Do you remember what happened the next day? You remember the Brian Thomas Jr. touchdown?
Yeah.
80-yarder? What happened the next day? They cut, I believe, Dallas Flowers the next day. Now, they haven't done that here today. I was wondering if there would be, that kind of reaction with Xavier Howard today. I'd tell you, Lou Anarumo is the best thing that ever happened to this guy, because he loves Xavier Howard. I don't know how you can defend it. I'm usually not this hard on these guys, right? But I just thought that there was so much inexcusable stuff that it's unconscionable, and I don't blame Xavier Howard. I blame the coaching staff. You put him out there. It's not his fault. He took your money because, of course, he did, right? You guys put him out there, and I mean,
we got locked up with Puka Nacua too, which
Oh my God!
So much.
They're going to give Puka
much.
Nacua another extension after that game. I mean, my God. So listen, here's the thing here. What did we talk about when they signed Xavier Howard? We said, all right, guy's got a lot of years on him, and he hasn't played in a full season. He missed a full season. This is going to be an experiment, and I don't know if it's going to work, right? I mean, you and I had that conversation. Anybody with any kind of understanding would know that was the question. And it went exactly how you think it would go. The only thing saving them is that other teams haven't figured out that they should target him more. The Dolphins, for whatever reason, they did it for like one series, and then Tua decided to give him the rest of the day off. That's on him. And the Broncos figured it out, and they targeted him, and that was very successful. And Sean McVay was like, oh, this is like taking candy from a baby. So Orlovsky was talking about this earlier. You keep moving him around, Puka Nacua, and they kept doing that because they were looking for that matchup. They were beating him like a drum, and they were like, well, we're just going to keep going back to this because you guys keep giving it to us. So I don't know.
How often did you find they just stuck Ward on him? It seemed like there were a couple of times, but
they put Ward on Devontae Adams.
Well, I mean, Ward had Nacua at least once or twice out there, did he not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did happen just, I guess, by virtue of motion and that kind of thing a couple times, but the overwhelming majority of the time, Ward was on Adams, and I don't know if that was just because they were afraid of Adams getting deep. Nacua, he tends to run a lot of those, outs and crossers. Now he can obviously get big plays out of those too, but he's not a deep threat to the extent that like Adams is, I guess. So that's my understanding. I guess that's my interpretation, I guess. Now the last thing I'll say, with Howard, I mean they have talked about the fact that they like a couple of their young corners, and I'm thinking, all right, well now Jonathan Edwards being one, and I'm thinking now might be a good time to see what you got there. I don't understand this insistence on sticking with him. It's not going to get better. The tape is out there. It is not going to get better.
Yeah, and we shall see. I the whole philosophy of how they utilize Ward, I think even before the game came into question, but once you find out what they're doing during the game, how do you not adjust to it? Would I think be the biggest question. Why would you not adjust to it? Because clearly you got one
in terms of.
Well, I mean, why? Well, I mean, here's our best guy against your best guy, and it was clear. Yeah. I would be 1,000 times more worried about Nacua than I would about Adams in that game yesterday.
Here's the thing. So one of the few times that Howard got matched up on Adams, he made a play on him too. So he didn't make plays against Ward, and there was an obvious reason for that because he is as advertised. Charvarius Ward, he is as advertised, and he that was another demonstration of it yesterday. But I hear you though. I hear you. Their go-to guy is Puka Nacua, and I think tomorrow when we talk to Lou Anarumo, that is a question worth asking, and we'll have to see what the rationale was there. But ultimately, I think the big problem here is Xavier Howard, even more so than the fact that they had to deal with Puka Nacua. The problem is Xavier Howard. It's made worse because you're dealing with the leading receiver in the NFL, but they had no shot because it was Xavier Howard out there. He's struggling, man. I don't know. I don't know what you do there.
I will say this, and
I know what they should do, but I don't know if they're going to do it.
I will say this, even in closing here, in the way they lost yesterday, which is massively disappointing. You give it up to the month of September, and then you look around your division, and you see Jacksonville won in San Fran, okay, but Houston and Tennessee look stinking awful right now. So there's zero reason from what we've witnessed through the first month of the season this team should not be able to win this division. I'm sorry, there's zero reason with what we have seen,
So
barring any sort of
I realize that I probably should have led with this, but they're fine. Okay, they're fine. They are in great position. Just take care of business. All right, you got 2 straight home games, and I would argue that yesterday, and somebody in the organization made this point to me, and I do agree. Yesterday's game, I think in the past couple of years, with that kind of the way that game unfolded and started to unravel, that team in recent years would have folded. They didn't fold. I give them that. They did not fold. That Rams team is really good. They are good, and they are going to have to be dealt with in the NFC. I don't want to gloss over that. That defensive front, vicious. Okay, took JT all day to just get anything going. They are good. So even win or lose, I knew that game was going to be tough. So I don't feel differently about the Colts today. They are about what I thought they were, which is pretty good, and they're just going to have to prove themselves against the elite opponents, of which I think the Rams might be one. So you should feel fine as long as they handle business moving forward. There's nothing to worry about. But that doesn't mean that you can let some of these issues we talked about stand either.
Hey, really quick, and I have to run. A.D. Mitchell, did he say, was he showboating or making sure the ball and everything was, what was he doing when
I asked him,
he did that?
I asked him that directly, and he did not really specify. So I personally thought he was trying to, hold the ball up and celebrate. That's what it looked like. But I didn't want to assign.
He looked behind, and it looked like that he was getting ready to put the ball up as, hey, I'm scoring. And if he would have just kept it in his left hand, everything would have been okay, you would think, right there.
Yeah, he'd be a hero. He'd be a hero today. Yeah.
Always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you doubling back here. I know it's a busy weekend, busy day for you, and we'll do it again next week. See you in the press box on Sunday.
All right, see you then.
Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com from the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Was a celebration that looked like it was about ready to be, and then it wasn't. Quick break. We'll come back. Thoughts? We got Colts Roundtable coming up at the top of the hour. Kansas tickets to give away. I think that is at Everwise, correct? Everwise Amphitheater. Downtown Indy, those tickets to give away. And road shows coming up later on this week as well. Got a lot more ground to cover at 239-1070 with you next.
don't know what the hell's in there, but it's weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Definitely stings. The ball's put in my hand to, make a play for the team, and it was a matter of losing focus and just a play that just can't happen. And just unacceptable. I just got to be better for the team and for the organization.
A.D. Mitchell right there, courtesy of the Indianapolis Star video section right there. Yesterday, the Colts lose 27-20. We've documented that, talked about that over the course of the afternoon. IU winner over Iowa. The Fever push it to the limit. Game 5 is tomorrow night in Vegas. And the Major League Baseball postseason starts coming up tomorrow. And Reds fans, we can rejoice. I'm rejoicing. Tigers Guardians officially underway tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so we're going to have some afternoon baseball to pay attention to. Our good friend Tucker Barnhart's going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. Padres and Cubs from Wrigley at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Red Sox and Yankees at 6. And the Reds and the Dodgers tomorrow night at 9. Baseball, postseason, Redlegs. No matter how they got in there. And we have documented the fact that they did back in. But whatever. JMV, this is from the text line, 317-239-1070. If the Colts were a functional organization, they would have won on the road against a playoff team and be 0-4. A lot of you are suggesting, hey, it is just the magnitude and the team. They can beat. They're really good against not-so-good teams, but that was maybe a sense of false hope. I got news for you. They should be able to manage a lot of this schedule the way they've looked so far. JMV, if we're going to hold Mitchell accountable and bench him, what are they going to do with Howard? He's been terrible. We just talked about that with Stephen Holder a moment ago. Podcast 1075thefan.com. Hey, by now, JMV, they should run the football through the back of the end zone like stinking Forrest Gump. From Brandon. JMV, no way 87's giving up on A.D. Mitchell. JMV, what's up? I was just wondering, when is Lou going to make the decision to play some of the young guys in the secondary? Are we starting to see a pattern here with the older vets continuing to get burned every single week? Jay Finn. Yeah, we just talked about that as well. Now is about time. Completely agree. JMV, the corners are old and they looked old and slow. JMV, does Carly Ursay-Gordon rip some ass after all the mistakes yesterday? I'm more pissed about Puka embarrassing the team versus AD being a bonehead. Cover the guy. Andrew White. I'm assuming letting the coaches and organizational folks handle it. We'll see how that goes. JMV, no freaking way the Colts cut A.D. Mitchell. Needs to grow up. 1,000% sure Reggie handled the situation immediately. If he can't learn from 87, then he will be cut. So many are suggesting make an example of him. Others are suggesting not so much. I suggest I take a call at 239-1070. James is up next. Hello, James.
J.M.V. It's a Football Reaction Monday, isn't it?
It is. And normally so far it's been overreaction with the positive. Now it's a little overaction with the negative, and we talk it up no matter the circumstances. What do you got, buddy?
Oh, yeah. And I appreciate it. I appreciate having you to talk to football with you. I just, there's not a whole much I can add. I was hoping to have some kind of anecdote that you wouldn't have uncovered yet, but you and Holder, I would say, pretty much covered it. I mean, I think Colts fans really do need to pay attention to how, going forward, Howard, how much playing time he gets and what kind of accountability Big Lou is going to be bringing to this defense. And also, again, I also second the point you guys made too. I mean, the Rams are a good team. This is a team under Sean McVay that has routinely game planned well against their opponents. And this is really our first away game on the West Coast. I mean, the first 3 games, 2 at home, 1 in Tennessee, our second home. So, we're going to the West Coast. We got sloppy. It is what it is. The only listening to everybody today, I'll just say this. I remember a time when I went to WCW Nitro on a Thursday night. Diamond Dallas Page was in town, and he brought up Peyton Manning, and everybody in that stadium booed. So there was a time where the 317 area code thought Peyton Manning was garbage. So it is what it is.
So we got to smarten up as fans, is what you're saying here. I know. All it takes you have to have James. You have to have positive. That's what gets everybody back on. And thank you, James, for the call. I appreciate that. What gets you back on is what transpired in the first 3 weeks. And I think most fans out there would view it as, all right, if you get beat and the team was simply better, you're not going to go, oh, that's great. That's a defeatist attitude, but you're going to be more understanding than you are than a team that clearly yesterday had much more of an impact beating itself. And that type of stuff, as we witnessed a year ago, will keep you out of the postseason. I still like where they are. There's still a lot to be learned, and especially against good teams. Matthew Stafford, I thought Matthew Stafford missed a couple of big play opportunities, and the dude still threw for 375. There's still a lot to get to, but 3-1 after this first month, I thought they were going to be 2-2. So they are at least better right now than what I had predicted them to be after the first month. Not that that means anything. Bud's up next. Hello, Bud. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Great, Bud.
How you doing?
Great. Go ahead.
I got like 4 comments on what I've been listening to and a couple questions.
All right.
You guys have been talking about the Pacers.
Yes.
How it will never be better, ever, without Halliburton. He's a beast. He reminds me of he could be amazing. I hope this injury he has not hurt him. Miles Turner disappointed me during that championship round. From what I understand, the guy we got, I think his name was Hunt. Statistically, just as good, but a lot bigger and probably more reliable. I'm hoping. I love Miles, but he's gone, so we can't worry about him. Questions I have for you.
Okay.
A.D. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mitchell. When he did that, you know how athletic he was looking, right?
Yes.
When he got that reception.
Yes.
He probably did not realize he was knocked so bad at the end of that. He probably thought he was going out of bounds. He got hit at 7 on the left side. He thought he was getting ready to go on the back. He was trying to switch the ball to his right hand, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to lift it up to celebrate it a little bit too.
No,
if he'd have left it in his left hand, it would have been a touchdown.
You think he was that? You think he's that young?
Well, and hey, Bud, and I understand what you're talking about, and I'm going to have to defend him too if I'm going to throw some support his direction, which clearly he's not getting right now. However, it was the boneheaded of the bonehead that simply you cannot do, and it not only cost you a game in this case, but it can cost you a season if you're not careful. We've witnessed that recently, and it's from a guy that's not. He's not also working. I mean, he's not working from a positive right now. He's already working from a negative.
I understand that. He was pissed. His mind was off. I was pissed. Just like, okay, you look at what's his name? Oh, Tennessee. The main running back for Tennessee is now playing for Baltimore.
Derrick Henry?
You see how he acts when he fumbles the ball.
Yeah, Derrick Henry is working for much more of a positive than he is a negative right here. I mean, there's really no like what I'm saying is A.D. Mitchell has proven himself to this point, and why people, Bud, thank you for the call, want to get rid of him is that he is considered far more expendable than what your example is of Derrick Henry, than what is a similar gaffe of Jonathan Taylor in December in Denver of a year ago. His situation is one to where people are going to say, why jack with it? Why mess with it? And the argument of, well, he's incredibly talented and gifted, and look what he did leading up to that, it's not going to have the type of support that is necessary here. That's why I may end up having to lend my support. Not that I feel bad, but what the hell? Some guys just don't get it, and he has been down a path in his career going back to college, whether you were talking about Texas or Georgia. A lot of people suggested he slid in the draft around 2 because of stuff like this. Not of like that exactly, but reasons that people believe that he would not end up being what his talent level might project him to be to some. And that's what they have to figure out. Is he worth messing with? Is he going to be inactive this weekend? I mean, Alec Pierce, the whole situation will take care of itself if Pierce comes back and plays again. I mean, you can sit him on the bench. Maybe he's deactivated, whatever. But how are you going to deal with it? And truth be told, is it really worth that much thought? Is it worth spending this much time? The only reason it's worth spending this much time on it right now is because it clearly, with that and the holding call afterwards, and especially the whole, you could see it was being documented on Fox, exactly his reaction. He didn't look like a guy that needed to be out there after that play. And he was, and it led to another massively negative play. So what do you do about that? Quick break. We'll come back. Final thoughts on that. We'll get you set for Colts Roundtable, top of the hour. And a busy show coming at you tomorrow as well. Road shows later on this week. Hey, don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
friend. He's my pal. He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Kansas tickets, number 9 at 239-1070. You can go on us to see Kansas. Win Schuler Spreadability. Favorite Grocer's Refrigerator. Original sharp cheddar, bacon, and cheddar, jalapeno pepper. Win Schuler Spreadability available for you. Find it. Find it. Meyer locations, Gordon Food Service, wherever you shop, make sure you find the spreadability of Win Schuler's. Quote, I'm embracing change, embracing this cool part of my career. I'm heading into my prime. I'm in a city now that wants to celebrate me. That's a great quote that says, go where you're celebrated. I feel like that's here. People are excited to have me here. And I'm not talking about me. Miles Turner quote. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Miles Turner took a lot of junk from clowns while he was here. This is not the Miles Turner stuff that I don't like anymore. The Miles Turner stuff I didn't like was the throwing your team members, your former teammates under the bus when leaving town. I'm going someplace that, quote, wants to be competitive. That's the crap that I don't like. This, I've always said, for a lot of fans out there that constantly, because he was a social media reader constantly, and at times to his detriment. And he saw what fans, and especially the hometown fans, said about him. And I'm sure he stored that away. And even with a lot of the love for getting to the NBA Finals, and then it rehashed again in the NBA Finals because he stunk. But the part I'm not happy about was how he viewed his teammates and being competitive as he's leaving, and no Halliburton as he's leaving, and I'm going to a place and they want to be competitive. Yeah, well, when Kevin Porter Jr. is trying to throw you a lob, or you're doing a high ball action with Kevin Porter Jr. and you're not seeing it like you didn't see it with Malcolm Brogdon, you can check back with us. So I hated that. This part I don't hate so much because there are a lot of jackasses to him here. Now, what he's doing, he's just kind of piling on and piling on and piling on, and the whole legacy thing, he just has shattered. That's too bad. Yeah, 10 years of working for something here has basically, with a lot of words, been eliminated. And that's too bad. But again, I'm not mad at that part with the fans because there are a lot of jackasses out there. The part that I didn't like was how he viewed his teammates and this organization and what they were doing. That's crap. 239-1070 is that number. Patrick is up next on this show today. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Patrick, outstanding. Go ahead, brother.
I mean, hey, I'm a Miles Turner fan. I remember I finished grad school right when they kind of went on their run in 22 and, this past year in 24. And, just seeing the team really grow. And, he had those huge dunks that were always on Instagram and social media. I mean, I'd say he's a big reason why the Pacers are running the show right now in the NBA. And, I see, if you take money out of the equation, leaving teams, leaving teammates is always a tough thing to do and dealing with those emotions. But I see your point, and I'm sure he'll learn from it and grow. And, I'll always be a Miles Turner fan. So, but I see your point.
Yep. Hey, Patrick, is that all you need? Because I hear the music here. I don't get a lot of time. I got enough time to talk.
Yeah, I'm down to keep chatting.
Cool, buddy.
I'm pumped for the Pacers this year.
I am too, man. Patrick, I'm right. I am right there with you. I was at Media Day today, and I am fired up. Yeah, the whole fan thing from Miles doesn't get me. the things he said in leaving, regarding the organization's competitive level and how we view his teammates with that, that's what gets me. I can't stand that. Stephen Holder, podcast 1075thefan.com. More of you and me tomorrow. If I didn't get to you, my apologies. We have more time tomorrow. Tucker Barnhart, Greg Rakestraw, a lot more for you on a Tuesday. Colts Roundtable is straight ahead. It's next, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.